Hello, friends from across the nation and around the world. I'm Martin, and you are listening to Dad's Anytime Stories. And today, we are, of course, headed to Chapter 10 of Wizardcraft 2.0. This chapter is brought to us by Magali from Regina, who suggested the whole going back for the dragon eggs thing, and to James from Colorado, who wanted Diamondback to be trained into an adult. So thank you both for your ideas. If you like the podcast, don't forget to rate it, review it, like it, share it, and that sort of thing. It goes a long way. And if somehow you've never checked out Dad's bedtime stories and you want more wizardcraft or, just more of me talking, you can check it out anywhere podcasts are made. And you can even make suggestions there for new content. But now, on with the story. Chapter 10, The Dragon Heist. Oliver opened his eyes, but the only thing he could see were the words "wake up" with a question mark. He selected yes, as he usually did, and the world came into view once again. The digital world he'd been sucked into not so long ago. "Congratulations," Martin's familiar voice announced from nowhere. "You have reached level 7. Mana, health, and stamina increased." A warm surge rushed through Oliver's limbs, steady and powerful. Little status bars hovered in his vision, each ticking higher and then faded. "Skill point available." Oliver closed his eyes and summoned the menu. The translucent panel bloomed into the air, icons drifting like constellations. He flicked past the familiar trees, wizard, ninja, until a new sigil caught his eye. A dragon silhouette arcing through wind. "Dragon Rider. Grants perfect seat and balance upon bonded dragons. Well mounted, Oliver cannot be shaken loose by wind, lurches, spins, or impacts. Standing, kneeling, or leaping, he remains magnetically bound to the dragon's scales." He didn't hesitate. Yes. The icon flared, a ribbon of magic cinched around his core and flowed to his feet and hands, settling like invisible harnesses. He felt unmistakably linked, as if somewhere a set of dragonback stirrups had been etched into his bones. Now, having recently hatched a new nature dragon, the first thing he decided to do was check on it. He rushed out the door toward the farms, and sure enough, he saw his new friend, Diamondback, lounging in the farm area, eating meat the farmers were feeding him. Strangely, Diamondback looked even bigger than he had before. These dragons seemed to grow really quickly when they were fed. "Good morning, Diamondback. I see they're feeding you well," Oliver said. "Yes, they are. This is some of the best food I've ever had," the dragon answered. "Okay. If it's the best food you've ever had, why do you look kind of sad?" Oliver asked. "Well, it's just that my brothers and sisters were left behind." "Your brothers and sisters? Do you mean the other dragon eggs at the Wizard King's cave thingy?" he asked. "Yes, I believe so. You see, we dragons have a sort of mental connection to each other, and, well, they weren't born yet. We did speak mind to mind. I can still feel the connection, but I'm worried about them. The villagers here have told me about the Wizard King, and I don't think I want my brothers and sisters to be in his service." "Oh," Oliver nodded slowly. "To be honest, I don't really want your brothers and sisters to be in his service either. If he has a whole bunch of dragons hatched, well, my village may not be safe. Come on, Diamondback. We're gonna come up with a plan to save those guys and maybe put an end to this Wizard King." "Oh, are you serious? You'd do that for me?" Diamondback asked. "Of course I would, buddy," Oliver said, walking up to scratch Diamondback behind the ears. He climbed onto Diamondback's back again, and the newer skill snapped into place. Even as the dragon shifted, Oliver felt as if his boots were quietly anchoring to diamond plates. No slipping, no wobbling, just calm, secure connection like standing on level ground. Diamondback flapped his gigantic wings, lifting the two of them up into the air above the entire village. Oliver rose easily with him, hands light on a ridge of scale. With Dragon Rider, he could have stood with arms outstretched and not even slid an inch. The village had become pretty impressive, honestly. The whole place was surrounded by a gigantic wall that seemed to grow bigger every day, as the golems mined more rock and iron ore, and the builders continued to improve the fortifications. Oliver saw golems and villagers moving everywhere. He and Diamondback swooped down toward the town hall and landed in front of the main doors. There stood his friends, Gus, the town administrator, along with Griffin and Owen. "Well, if it isn't the three people I wanted to talk to, I think we have some things to discuss," Oliver said. "I'm worried with all of the other dragon eggs the Wizard King has, he might be able to overwhelm our village. Luckily, I don't think he's hatched many of them yet, but if he does, I don't know what we're going to do." "Ah," Gus replied, "that is an excellent point. I suggest we strike now or do something about those dragon eggs." "I don't know about that," Griffin said. "The Wizard King is still pretty powerful. It'll take us a long time to get a full army of golems there to attack, and it'll leave our village defenseless." "I say we go back there first and get as many dragon eggs as we can," Owen said. "Just weaken the place. Then we can use the eggs to, well, take over the village and put a stop to the Wizard King once and for all." "I don't disagree with that plan," Gus responded. "However, with the Wizard King still around, the village will still be in danger." "Well, yeah," Griffin said, "but we'll have a whole bunch of dragons to take care of the threat." An idea popped into Oliver's mind. "What if I teach you, and maybe a small team of others, my time and teleportation spells? That way, some of us can sneak in and steal as many eggs as possible, and others can sneak in and, well, take out the Wizard King, without an entire army to deal with." Gus said. "That might be a good way to do things. However, if we, well, unalive him, he will simply respawn, and then he will gather his army once more. I believe the best option is to capture him." Oliver, Gus, Griffin, and Owen continued hashing through the details, and before long they had an entire plan. Gus would round up a loyal group of soldiers, Oliver would teach them as many spells as he could, and the ones capable of learning the time and teleportation spells would break into the Wizard King's village, just like Oliver had. Half of the team would gather the eggs, while Oliver, Owen, and Griffin would go for the Wizard King himself. With the plan set in stone, they began to execute it. First order of business, teaching Owen and Griffin time and teleportation. Oliver placed his hands on their temples and transferred the memories of time and teleportation. Luckily, both of them absorbed each spell with ease. Another thought occurred to him. What about the Diamond Golem spell? If I can only do it once a month, I may as well teach it to the two of you so you can do it once a month as well. With that, he again placed his hands on Owen's temples and transferred the knowledge of creating diamond golems. Then he did the same for Griffin. When he finished, both looked tired from absorbing so much in one day, but they still went to the town storage to gather as many diamonds as they could find. Owen and Griffin each created their own diamond golem. They didn't perfectly fit into the stealth plan, but they would help defend the village while the team was gone, and that made Oliver feel pretty good. Over the next few days, the whole village worked on the plan. Gus gathered a number of soldiers, had them swear an oath of allegiance that wouldn't allow them to betray Oliver, and Oliver taught as many as possible the time and teleportation spells. Only about half of the soldiers were able to absorb the information, which helped narrow down the team. Meanwhile, Darren the blacksmith worked away at new sets of armor. Dark black armor perfect for infiltration. And all the while, Diamondback ate and grew until he became a very, very large dragon, one capable of carrying 10 people, which, luckily, was exactly the team size they'd gathered. Oliver, Owen, and Griffin could all fly using wind magic, but the same wasn't true for all the soldiers. Some had learned wind magic, others hadn't. It seemed most people couldn't learn as many spells as Oliver for some reason, Griffin and Owen being exceptions. Either way, Oliver was happy to have enough soldiers with the powers needed to fulfill the mission. Once all preparations were finished, the soldiers dressed in brand new jet black ninja armor and were equipped with jet black ninja katanas, acid dipped of course. They gathered around Diamondback. All right, Diamondback, here's the plan. Owen, Griffin, and I will fly beside you while you carry the other 7 soldiers. We're going to approach the town from as high as possible, above the clouds if we can. I don't want them to see anything coming. As soon as we get the village in our sights, we'll begin to teleport. He displayed a hand-drawn map from memory, showing blind spots in the cave that housed the dragons. Well, you head into the cave and get as many eggs as you possibly can. Owen, Griffin, and I will head here. He pointed to a building far larger and more expensive looking than the others. Exactly the Wizard King's style. Once you've scooped up all the eggs you can fit into your inventories, hopefully all of them, teleport back to Diamondback. Diamondback, you keep flying high above the city, out of weapons range, but close enough that they can teleport to you. Understood?
I believe I do understand. And since this is for my brothers and sisters, I will do what I can,
Diamondback said. In the meantime, Oliver added, Owen, Griffin, and I are going to try to capture the Wizard King. Darren created brand new weapons, ones that should wrap him tight and let us bring him back home. Everybody understand? The soldiers nodded. They climbed onto the now very large nature dragon and grabbed on for dear life. The dragon began to flap his wings, raising them high into the air. Oliver, on the other hand, barely had to hold on at all. The dragon rider's skill holding him steady, even as the dragon heaved skyward. He could shift to a knee, stand to look ahead, even lean into turns with no fear of slipping. The magic clung to him like a harness of wind. Owen and Griffin activated their wind spells and lifted after him. Together they flew high above the world, fields, mountains, lakes, rivers, until they saw the Wizard King's main village. "All right, everyone," Oliver called through the wind. "The village is right there. Diamondback, swoop down just long enough for the others to teleport. Hopefully you won't be seen. If you can get close to the mountain itself, it should help let them in."
"Understood,"
Diamondback said, and he dipped beneath the clouds for an instant. Oliver watched as the soldiers vanished, teleporting into their positions. "All right, Owen, Griffin, this is it. We'll teleport into those bushes outside the house and activate time. From there, we'll move through the halls as quickly as we can, hopefully before our time stop runs out. Everyone have one of Darren's new weapons?" Owen and Griffin produced a large ball-like device in their hands. Apparently, when thrown, they would explode into ropes that wrapped around the target. With both indicating they were ready, Oliver focused on a spot outside the Wizard King's house, accessed his mana, and performed the teleportation spell. Instantly, they were in the bushes. "All right, too many guards to teleport inside. We'll stop time on 3, Oliver said. 1, 2, 3. All at once, Oliver, Griffin, and Owen activated their time spells. They sped up. The world slowed. Guards froze mid-stride. Birds hung motionless in the air. A countdown timer appeared in Oliver's vision. With no time to waste, the 3 sprinted between frozen guards, down a hallway, and up a staircase. They'd never been inside the house before, but this looked like where bedrooms would be. They came to a large door that practically screamed Wizard King. Oliver ran straight for it and kicked it as hard as he could. Moving at this relatively high speed, the door didn't stand a chance. It shattered and they burst through into a bedroom with someone sleeping in the bed. Oliver produced the new weapon from his inventory and hurled it. It exploded into ropes, wrapping the figure and bedspread alike. Their timers were almost out. Time resumed as they rushed forward to collect the prisoner. And then, Oliver realized it wasn't a person at all. It was a hay dummy.
"Well, well, well,"
a voice said from behind them.
"I was wondering when you would get here."
They turned to see the Wizard King standing there.
"You didn't think I would actually sleep here, did you? I see you were trying to take me prisoner. Well, the joke's on you, because now you are my prisoners."
He yanked a rope behind him. Metal bars slammed down over every window and doorway, trapping Oliver and his friends in a gigantic cage. Oliver stared at the Wizard King. "I think you made one mistake."
"And what's that exactly?"
the Wizard King asked. "You locked yourself in here with us." Oliver charged a bolt of lightning and hurled it. The Wizard King casually caught it in his palm, compressing it into a floating ball.
"Well, isn't that a clever trick? Lightning magic. La-dee-da," he said dryly. "I've trained with the best wizards in the world. Your paltry lightning spell is very low level compared to what I'm capable of."
As if to prove it, The lightning in his hand split into 3 and blasted Oliver, Owen, and Griffin all at once. They flew backward and smashed into the walls. Oliver staggered up and then unleashed a plume of fire. The Wizard King absorbed that too, dropping it as a fireball that set his own floor ablaze.
"Whatever will I do? I'm so helpless," he mocked. "Just kidding. Your powers are useless against me."
Oliver met Owen and Griffin's eyes. They nodded. It was time to teleport out. He looked through the bars and activated the spell, only to smash face first into the metal and tumble to the floor with a pounding headache.
"Oh, I should have mentioned," the Wizard King said. "This place has an anti-teleportation rune as well. I've thought of everything."
"Quick, activate time," Oliver shouted. The world slowed again, except the Wizard King.
"Oh, you can do the time thing too, I see," he said, moving freely. "Very useful against everyone else who can't use it. Too bad for you that I'm not one of those people. Now, I think it's time to show you who the real boss is."
Unsure what else to do, Oliver backed up against the wall when a crash split the ceiling and the roof tore open. Diamondback ripped through in a shower of rubble, bellowed, and unleashed a massive plume of fire. This time the blast was too powerful to fully absorb, and it shoved the Wizard King back against the wall.
"Quickly,"
Diamondback commanded. Oliver, Griffin, and Owen didn't hesitate. They sprinted and leapt onto the dragon's back. The Wizard King stepped forward, charged a gigantic bolt of lightning, and fired. Diamondback pulled one wing in front of his body. The shock hammered the diamond plates and glanced away. Diamondback gritted his teeth, then began to glow green. He unleashed a burst of emerald energy into the ground. Trees exploded upward, through doors, walls, and windows, twining around the Wizard King. The Wizard King blasted back. Lightning, fire, and raw force snapped trunks like twigs, but it bought enough time. Diamondback vaulted into the air and arrowed toward the caves. Alarm bells rang across the town as they swept over the cavern. Oliver spotted their soldiers pouring out. The moment those soldiers saw the dragon, they pointed and then blinked, teleporting to Diamondback's back. In seconds, Oliver found himself surrounded by a squad in jet black armor. Diamondback beat his wings hard, climbing. Arrows arced upward and rattled uselessly off his diamond plates. Catapult stones, bolts of lightning, and pillars of fire chased them. The dragon exhaled another green wave. Trees surged across the streets, zigzagging and blocking lines of sight. Soon, they were high above the world, far from the Wizard King's village. "All right. Hopefully we were at least partially successful." "Did you get the eggs?" Oliver asked.
"Yes, sir," one soldier said. "We were able to capture all of the remaining eggs, but it looked like some were recently moved."
"Good enough," Oliver said as they turned for home. They hadn't defeated the Wizard King, and they had discovered he was far more powerful than they'd imagined, but at least a team of dragons would soon help them face him. After a long flight, Diamondback swooped toward the village and landed in front of the town hall. Gus was there to greet them.
"Well, how did it go?" Gus asked.
"We were partially successful," Oliver explained. "We got the eggs, but The Wizard King almost got us.
Well, almost doesn't really count. Luckily, you're safe. I'll have some people gather the eggs, and we can deal with the hatching of them tomorrow. You and your friends need some rest.
He couldn't have been more right. Oliver deactivated his armor and said goodbye to Owen and Griffin. He headed back to his house, opened the door, and plopped down in the bed almost immediately. His muscles were sore, his confidence slightly shaken, but overall he was happy they'd captured the eggs. He lay back on the pillow, and a prompt appeared in his vision. Sleep? He selected yes, and a wave of fatigue swept through him, heavier than he could have imagined.